I want to talk to you about restorative justice, a surprising approach that might offer better outcomes for victims, offenders, and the communities they live in. And I want to suggest that in order for it to work, we all have to do our part. Now, restorative justice is not a new idea. Some people say it's the most common approach to justice across the world and throughout time, but that somewhere along the way, we forgot how to do it. It's a philosophy that says getting justice means repairing harm. In restorative justice, repairing harm happens through face-to-face dialogues between the people harmed and the people responsible. For instance, here in Colorado, hundreds of cases are diverted from the courts each year through restorative conferences that bring together victims, offenders, and affected community members to agree on how to repair harms after a property crime or an assault.
I spent 21 years, 7 months, and 29 days in prison for a crime I did not commit. I'm used to the system feeling me because I'm used to the systems feeling my people. As a black exoneree, it's parallel to the experience of like the one slave. You can be taken from a land and put into bondage. It's the same to me as being taken from your community and put in bondage because of the color of your skin. Get involved in correcting the injustice.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight for our third episode of the second season of Second Chances. My name is Lulu Cameron. I am the founder of South Carolina for Restorative Justice, and I'm also a justice consultant. And I have McKinney Marston, my co-host.
This is McKinney Marston. I'm the CEO of Bittersweet Consulting, and we have Anisha Godfrey with us today, and her husband, Ricky D. Godfrey, who was just released. Can you hear?
Anisha, can you hear us? Uh-oh.
You might be on. Can you hear us now?
Can you hear us? Uh-oh.
Just one moment.
All right. So while she gets that figured out, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty. That's the reason why we're on a Tuesday and not a Monday. But either way, every day is good for second chances. And today is even better than Monday because today we will have the opportunity to speak to someone very important, someone who has served 11,315 days wrongfully incarcerated behind prison walls. And so he was only released on April 21st, I believe the date was. And just to be able to see him sitting here with his wife is an absolute blessing. Today has been a major drain on my life, but to be present and to be there in this moment, being able to share and talk to someone, because I know that there are so many of us out here who have loved ones who are incarcerated, wrongfully incarcerated, victims of the criminal justice system. And we're just looking for true stories of redemption, true stories of justice, true stories of exoneration, true stories of the United States of America righting the wrongs of their criminal justice system. And this is, more than an honor for us, but we're having some technical difficulties. So if you can hold tight just one moment. Did you text her?
Yeah.
Oh, they can't hear us at all. Oh, have mercy. A minute. I don't know what it is. Let me see if I can move her. Oh, she disconnected. Y'all hold tight. Ain't nothing like the devil to get busy when we trying to do something major.
That's okay, because her story is going to get told, his story is going to get told, and people are actually going to hear something that they can relate to in every single way that you could possibly think of, because these are families at the end of the day, and impacted families sometimes have a way of suppressing their voice, and just to get somebody who's been through it, and that can share their struggles with us would be very beneficial to all of us, give us a little more faith throughout our own personal journeys.
Okay, now
Okay,
So
okay, perfect. So y'all back? You can hear us? Okay, well
okay,
I
go ahead, Lily.
so we just said some really amazing things about y'all. Y'all missed it though, right? So I'll recap just a little bit. I said that you have served at least 11,315 days wrongfully incarcerated behind prison walls. So you've only been home since April 21st, and we just want to welcome you home for one, and also give you an opportunity to share both you and Anisha's story. We have Mr. and Mrs. Godfrey, because that's what every husband and wife desires, to be called at the same damn time when their
Absolutely.
husband returns home from prison. So I'll just go ahead and say that. And go ahead, McKinney, you take it away. Y'all
Okay,
can.
so Miss Anisha P. Godfrey is the proud wife of formerly incarcerated Ricky D. Godfrey. Ricky was wrongfully convicted at the young age of 18. Over the years, she fought relentlessly to see him free. Many stood beside her to make the mission possible. Many people also tried to convince her that it would never happen. Being a woman of faith, she refused to listen to the negativity. Instead, she placed her trust in God, and on Friday, April 21st, 2023, Ricky was released after spending 31 years of his life incarcerated for a crime that he did not commit. His release was a result of quid pro quo. As we know, the injustice system does not like to take uh, or admit to any of the wrongdoings. However, the fight to have Ricky exonerated will continue. So let's just touch on that. I liked how you mentioned woman of faith, because on this journey, it is very difficult to be on this journey and try to convince the people around you that you're doing something that God called you to do. People try to jump in, they want to try to save you from what looks like destruction, because what society knows is that nothing good ever comes out of prison. So I know personally, some of the struggles that you've been through, but I do see that you have a very strong support system around you. And I've noticed that throughout the years. So I just want to touch on that a little bit, like where most of your support came from and how you were able to keep the family balanced while your husband was incarcerated and you kept pushing, trying to, fulfill this testimony.
hello everyone. First of all, I'm a woman of faith. I trust in God. I believe in God. And what I can say is that on this journey, it was real challenging for me. There was a lot of people, they was just like looking at the scenario of like, he has life without parole. He's never coming home. So I had to change my mind thinking, you know, if I'm a woman of faith and I believe in God, I know that his word would never return back void. And I just kept repeating those scriptures over and over and over again. Even the ones that was saying negative stuff like, oh, you married to a guy in jail that's never getting out, or, you could do better than that and this and that. And this is my husband. This is my husband who I'm talking about. I've had times where it was like, I can't do this no more. I'm getting real tired. Even towards the end of this journey, it was like within 2 months before he was coming home. I told my husband, I said, I'm getting very tired. It was like anxiety when I pull up to the prison. It was just like, I know that the time was coming at withstand, because I was like, God, this is too much for me. I done did 10 years on this run, and I just feel like nothing is happening, no changes, no nothing. And my husband was telling me he wasn't selfish. He was just like, you know what? Just hold on. There's light at the end of the tunnel, and he said that to me constantly for the whole past 10 years, and in my mind, I'm like, you constantly telling me this. It's like feeling like I'm just holding on, like I just have to hold on. But I thought about my husband being on this journey for 31 years, like he didn't have no support, back then. He didn't have no support back then. Like all I wanted was somebody to just listen to his story. That's all I wanted to do. And I believe my breakthrough came when we started finding all kind of wrong and in the case, with like misconduct, Brady violation, um just a lot of different things where it was like the system is so messed up. Like
The
they don't even care.
inconsistencies.
They just like,
Yeah.
he a black man, throw him in jail,
Mhm.
and I
And
wasn't giving up. Outside of that, I had someone that talked to me personally that you know worked in that field, and they was like, you're on to something. And that's why I see that you're gonna get what you want, because he had put in like, how many hate petitions you put
I
in?
put in a couple of them.
He put in
Different ones. When I put a couple in that was dealing with the actual case, I put in a couple for resentencing, things like that, which I knew was a blind shot, so to speak. So, uh,
so where my support came in at, my husband had nominated me for SC Sister cohort. I'm a part of Initiate Justice, Prison from the Inside Out, Drop LWAP here in California. Um, what I learned, like in certain organizations, is that some of them don't support wrongfully conviction. I
Yeah.
even had someone tell me like, "Oh, you're in the wrong group. We don't support people that's innocent." Like it really totally threw me off. Like
Wow.
I was really blown by that, and I'm like, how do y'all just say that which y'all don't support, but y'all supporting something else? Like he's innocent. Just hear my story. It was like I was sitting in a org, and I was like, this not for me. And my husband told me, he was like, if they don't support that, then you're gonna get out of that organization. And I remember one night I was crying when I left the meeting one night, and a lady told me, she was like, no, I heard you. She said, you stay here because you're gonna get something out of this. And I just kept going and just kept going. And I joined different organizations, and I started learning about injustice system. My husband schooled me on so much behind bars, like, and people like, how was you networking and different things. My husband was writing me letters after letters telling me what to do. I just followed his plan. Everything that he told me to do, I did it.
yeah. And you said something very, very pivotal just like 2 seconds ago. You and your husband were working together.
Yeah.
And what a lot of these organizations, and I ain't gonna call no names today because I ain't in the mood, so I might get ugly. What they don't understand is that they only want to focus on, and yes, formerly incarcerated people who have been in prison, they deserve a voice. But we are the voice in real time. We are the voice of people who are currently incarcerated, who have walked, who are walking the walk every single day, when we have loved ones who are behind the walls. And a lot of people get lost. And there are some delusional women and men who deal with people who are incarcerated. We all know that. and everybody incarcerated ain't not guilty. A lot of people that are in prison because they committed their crimes. That doesn't mean they're nothing. That is, they're not defined by their worst days, right? And so I think that what you said that kind of spoke to both McKinney and I is that there's all these organizations out here getting famous, rich and famous, rich and famous. Say it one more time. Rich and famous. Yes, off of criminal justice reform. But they're producing very little, results. And so as your husband is a person who has been, wrongfully incarcerated in a system that's not meant to rehabilitate anyone, what type of traumas, did not only he but maybe you all experience at the same token? Like, can you talk about, have there been any instances where you felt fearful, or there were things that happened to you, Mr. Godfrey, while you were in prison, that people don't believe happen? Because most folks, right, when you go through and you read the comments on anything that has to do with prison, they're like, oh, what are they so mad about? They're in there, living free, watching cable TV, eating good, and playing with their homeboys. So what is an experience that you're willing to share with us? Because the public, legislators, people need to know that gross negligence is taking place inside of these prisons, and they don't believe it because, there's no proof, right? And that's on purpose in a lot of cases.
So for me, the worst trauma for me was being put in prison for a crime I didn't commit. That was the worst trauma, right? Having to endure that for 31 years, you can't compare that to anything. I don't believe, right? And along that journey, I've seen people stabbed, I've seen people shot, I've seen people kill themselves, and it's just tragic. You know what I mean? Like you say, the system ain't set up for, one to rehabilitate. However, if one choose to rehabilitate, then that's where the process of rehabilitation begins. So me, because I wasn't a saint, I did things in my younger days, sold drugs, carry weapons and things like that. But I wasn't put in prison for that. I did my time for that as a juvenile and things like that. So understand that, I had a criminalistic kind of mind state, right? To where I wanted to change that, even along this journey, I wanted to change that. So what I did is I started participating in self-help groups. I started educating myself. To mind you, when I came into this system, I had basically a fourth grade education. I dropped out of school in the fifth grade. So I had to basically teach myself. They didn't teach me. I had to teach myself how to appropriately read and write and then comprehend the things, that was before me. And I told myself that. And to the point where I eventually got my GED, I eventually enrolled into college for business management. I eventually earned my certification in paralegal studies, right? So I did that on my own. But along that process, I experienced many things that came within the embodiment of prison. Like I say, the deaths, the riots, the killing of each other. In fact, just over the past year, we had 2 deaths in the building. And for neither one of those deaths, there was ever any counseling given, right? So they talk about rehabilitation, but you don't provide it. You know what I mean? It's like you have to seek it out yourself. And that's what I basically did, just momentarily ago, probably about the 5th of, I think the 5th of March it was. There was a electrical problem in the building that I was housed in. And smoke came out, like you see on James Bond movie where they try to smoke out the room and things like that. Literally, just like that, right? It came out the upper vent, came into the building. The COs didn't want to let us out the building. So me and another gentleman, went up and we demanded, like, hey, let us up out this building. This building is something wrong with the electrical, and it looked like it's a fire, and the smoke is thick, and we can't breathe. So they let us out for about an hour or two.
So some of what. Sorry, you might have to put your. Can you put your phone on do not disturb?
Mhm.
Yep. So otherwise it'll keep knocking you out. But those are some of the things that people who are incarcerated experience every day, and it's sad to know that you know people have a heart for dogs and animals. You see a dog,
That
you see a
part.
little cat. I got some cats over here. I don't even like cats, and I love these cats because I found them and I've been taking care of them, and they belong to me now, even though I might have to rescue them in a couple of days. But the point of the matter is, people extend a heart, they extend grace to people who, or things that are, just this big in the grand scheme of things, right? And so just having you here to basically, speak your side of the story. No one's expecting anybody to be perfect, but some of the things that people don't understand, they can only gather understanding through actual experiences. And even for me, before I had an incarcerated loved one, I was, my mindset around incarceration was like, oh well, don't I'm not going to be writing you any letters. Like, you should have did what you were supposed to do. And now I understand that the support that people have through their incarceration is really what helps them to get out and be successful, because there's nothing inside of the system that's actually preparing a person. Well, there are some programs here or there depending upon what your charges are and how long your sentence is, if you're actually eligible for those things. And so, you know those are some of the experiences. But I guess, for me, Anisha, what has been difficult for you just going into the prison, like the experience? I know for me, it's got awful just going through security.
Security.
Yeah, well, for me, like it was because out here in California, I don't know where you guys is, but it's like certain clothes that you couldn't wear. Just going back and forth through the metal detector. It's like every little bitty thing they have the metal detector turned up so high, and just it was just mentally draining. Like, for the whole 10 years on this journey, it was just like my mental stage, like, it was messing with me mentally, physically. I was just like, some days I'd be depressed and I just look like I got it together when I really don't. It's like I was confined to it. Like, I was programmed to it. Every Saturday, Sunday, I never missed a visit. You know what I'm saying? So it was like repeatedly. That's like my only lifestyle scene like that I had, was just my husband. That was my only focus, was
Yeah.
getting him free from jail. Like nothing else mattered to me.
Yeah.
So,
And they always say, like, the lifespan of the loved one is shorter than the incarcerated person, because the fight is so ugly. Like, while you're in prison, everybody else is in prison with you, but while you're not in prison, to talk about prison with people that are around you, sometimes everybody is not connected to prison, so then they're looking at you like you crazy. Oh, definitely, when they see me, here she comes, she want to talk about prisons all day long, and what's wrong, and what's this and what's that. And so, people peg me into this bubble of understanding where they think that I'm angry. I'm not angry, but I'm just here to, help raise awareness, create the education that people need. Because when people hear another person's story, it can sometimes be the will that makes them change their heart, right? And so that's why, we're fighting for people constantly. We're going and talking to legislators, we're hosting events, we're being a part of things, but hearing actual stories, talking to real life people, sharing what your personal experience was, it helps to change the hearts of people about those who are incarcerated. Because I'm sure that you, Mr. Godfrey, have people that you met behind the wall that you consider like your brothers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I just want to add, like, not that, contrary to what people believe, everybody in prison doesn't say that they're innocent. Just like you said, there's people in there that, that admit that they did crimes and that they were horrible crimes. But that don't mean that they're worse than that right there, right? You have guys in there who have really gotten their stuff together that deserve to be out here where I'm at, right? I don't know those guys personally, who have put in the work, who have actually changed, not just their thinking, but changed their heart. And what comes out of their mouth aligns with their heart, right? And those are good people. And those are the people that I, tend to associate with, that I call my brothers to this day. Some of them call me, have been calling me since I've been out and congratulating. Most of them witnessed me, along this journey, putting in the major work that I was putting in on that typewriter, pecking every day, 18 hours a day. One guy just expressed that to my wife last night, like, hey, I was right there when you used to be on that typewriter, man, doing your thing. I was right there when your wife would send you all of these envelopes, full of these copies and stuff like that. So, yes, it absolutely is guys in there that deserve to be right here where I'm at. Though they may not be innocent, but they redeemed, and they believe differently. They act differently. They carry themselves differently. And if only a person would pay attention to them, then I believe that those people that pay attention to them will say the same thing.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with you. Some of the best people that I know right now in my life are in prison. And that's just not my one incarcerated loved one. It's some of the people who I've met in doing the work for the state of South Carolina, and all across the country. And so I get that, right? You go from a place where a life sentence used to be 10 years, back in the day under old law. And now it's just like, throwing away the book at people. And I think that there was even a guy who needs to be released to the United States, but there was another country this just recently, I read this, I said they didn't want to release him because they know how inhumane our prison system is. Yeah. And so I think that I can say I'm not the same person I was when I was 15, 16, 17 years old, which is when a lot of people, kind of start along a path of, whatever they're doing, or, they come up in a circumstance. Yeah. Yeah. And so I've given myself the grace, and I've seen it done to police officers and legislators who make mistakes, and judges who make mistakes, and people in positions of power. And it's just going to take for those people who are behind the wall to really exert their ability to assist us on the outside, because without them, our work is almost like pointless. This is like I'm just spinning in a circle on a regular basis. So definitely that. Is there anything that you think, if you could say there was a couple of things that you wish you could see done differently, whether it's in the process of how you went about filing your habeas corpus, or just throughout this entire process that you all have been fighting, what would you say, what would you wish that you could, like, man, I just wish I had this right now, or if this went like this, then this would never, none of this stuff would even be going that way. We know that California has been a lot more progressive than a lot of other states. And so we're just looking to kind of hear.
Yeah, for me, I wish that, these people that's making these laws, which is legislative, of course, would go inside of these places instead of standing on the outside trying to figure it out, right? When you go in and you get to talk to these individuals that's in here, you get to hearing these fresh ideas that, coming from the people that's affected by it. I think that then you can implement effective change, right? For life without, that's what my fight. My thing is for justice for all, right? But particularly life without, because life without is basically, that's a death sentence. And everything that trickles down, it doesn't trickle down to life without, right? So for that segment of the population, we need a bigger voice. Every time they do a law, it's always, it doesn't pertain to you particular guys with this sentence. It's always these guys over here, right? That needs to change. You know what I mean? That needs to change. And every time they say, just hold on. We've been holding on. Some guys been in there, 30, 40, close to 50 years holding on. So how much longer should they hold? You know what I mean? So I think that these legislators need to really, really go in and pay these institutions visits and really talk to the people that walk in the grounds in there, instead of just hearing it from, out here from this side of the world, so to speak. You know what I mean? And hearing it from, just loved ones, because some of our loved ones don't really know how to articulate, you know what I mean, these laws and stuff like that, right? They just a parakeet, right? They repeating what they hear, and they don't really, state what's factual. You know what I mean? So they run with that. But if you go inside, you really hear, the bottom line, you know what I'm saying, of what needs to be done.
How do you think the communities and some organizations could be more supportive of wrongful convictions?
Oh, wow. Well, I believe that there needs to be a larger platform for it, right? And I think that the way that you do that is when someone expressed that they're actually innocent, don't just ignore them. You know what I mean? Like, pay attention, hear that out, right? See what that's about. Because, like I say, everybody in prison, well, at least where I've been, and I've been out for 31 years. I only ran into a handful of people, maybe 10 at best, that ever actually said that they was innocent like I was, right? So everybody doesn't say that. So I think that when a person does say that you need to listen, hear them out, and find out, you know what I mean, what's the backdrop to that story. Because when you do that, there's a lot you can find out from that. You know what I mean? Many people told us, oh, yeah, everybody say they're in it. Well, I'm not everybody. You know what I mean? Judge me on what I'm saying, not on what somebody else is saying. And in fact, I have the proof of my actual innocence. You know what I mean? Right here. All you have to do is read it, look at it, and it's right here. And when you do that, you're gonna follow the trail. You know what I'm saying, of everything that I'm telling you. So I think that, when you listen in that aspect, I think that that'll serve a better purpose, for those that's unjustly and wrongfully convicted of crimes that we didn't commit.
I agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's talk about the feeling, right? So we can go all day about what's broken, what's whatever, but 31 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, my eyes just want to water up over here, and I ain't even in the group. Okay. Yeah. So tell me, who heard it first, Anissa, tell me your side.
So I heard it first, right? So
look, you about to do it too. Oh, did it freeze?
Yes, it did. Right at the good part.
Oh, man. Okay, they come back. They come back. Okay, so we didn't hear anything you said, but I heard it first. Oh,
you can't hear
her phone must have rang. You have to hang up and come back in. Sorry, y'all. It's the learning curves of re-entering and doing something new. So
yes,
no judgment. I'm just thankful that we can have Mr. and Mrs. Godfrey here with us today. I don't want to take this banner down because,
it's all right.
Yeah. Let me see. Uh-oh. Here we go. So, all right, here she comes. All right, so y'all back. So it's all right. We done already gave y'all some grace. Don't even worry about all that, okay? Normally we wouldn't have all that, but we're gonna give y'all some special grace today. So so I just say we didn't hear anything that you said. You said you heard it first.
So I learned. I
want to know the play-by-play. Like, how did it feel? What were you thinking? What came over you? And then how did you, let Anisha know?
Okay, so it was a Wednesday night. I said a prayer. A lot of people don't know me and my wife. We have a very spiritual marriage relationship. We've been that way for the better part of 10 years. So I said a prayer the night before that I asked God that, hey, it's not even about money. It's not about none of that. It's about justice. It's about restoring my name, restoring my rights, and just getting home to my family. And if you just get that to me, I'll be fine with that. So that was on that Wednesday night. The next day, Thursday, Nisha get a email from my attorney asking to have me call. So when I called, the conversation sort of went like this. Hey, Mr. Godfrey, how are you? I'm well. What's up? Well, they have an offer for you I said, what's that? Well, they want to give you 26 years time served, immediate release. So my first instinct, of course, was, hell no, I'm not doing that. But then as soon as I thought that, instantly, hey, dude, what are you doing? You just prayed and asked God for favor, and here it is, he's giving you favor, and you fit to renege on that. And the sooner I thought that, I said, you know what? I can't be selfish in this instant. In this instance, I have to be selfless. I have to think about my wife. I have to think about my kid. I have to think about my grandkid. And that's what I did. And told her, you know what? This ain't right. But however, if that's what's going to get me out here, get me out here. So she's like, okay, I will visit you, and I will bring up the plea agreement so you can go over it. And listen, this ain't the end of the world. Just because you accept this doesn't mean that you're not innocent. I get that, but the whole objective is to get you out of here, and that's what happened. So she was like, "Do you want me to share with Anisha, or is you gonna tell?" I said, "No, you're gonna explain to her the same way you explained to me, right?" And then after that, me and her a dialogue about it. So that's what happened. And she told Anisha that. Anisha it didn't sit well with her neither, even though she wanted me home. And she like, that's just all wrong. So after that, the attorney came up, and I guess after calculation, they determined that, okay, we're not going to resentence him to 26 years. We're going to resentence him to 24 years. Gave a court date, went to court. It seemed surreal. Well, prior to going to court, my attorney had came to visit me, and I asked her, I say, am I going home Friday? This was on a Tuesday. She like, absolutely. So that right there, it kind of it broke me down. I told my wife, they already knew about it. I got into the court. I nudged my attorney. I say, hey, I looked at her. I say, are you sure I'm going home today? She looked at me, smiled like, yes, you're going home today. And that feeling right there was the greatest. It was the greatest feeling, and I'm still like, it seems so real, I know it's real, but it's just like, it's a feeling like I can't describe it. You know what I mean? But just to see my wife happy, just to see my daughter and them happy, my kids happy, even my mom, just to see them happy, and it's a beautiful feeling, and I feel grateful and I feel blessed, because had it been for the hard work that this woman put in, and those that supported us, Portia Taylor, Jamelia Lynn, Robert Hanson, James Clark, Tyler, had it not been for these type of people, Catherine Snyder, Sophia Jackson, Essie's sister, like I can go on, and if I forget, to mention you, it's not, because I'm choosing to, it's because, I'm still kind of riled up, about this.
Yeah, we ain't expecting anything. We ain't holding you to nothing. You ain't on trial.
Yeah.
You ain't on, CBS News, even though you may be, but this is the point of this is the, sometimes we just have to show that we got us, right? And so we want to make sure that y'all feel the love from us. So it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just make sure we put it out there, right? And so we're thankful that you're willing to be here with us. And so, Anisha, you tell me what you were thinking and feeling, and how that went down, because you was already anxious and going crazy, right? The past couple of you say it was just getting to be too much. Because, honey, I understand. So,
I'm real emotional. I'm really more hurt. I'm really more hurt how the way they did my husband. Like,
it's okay, baby.
I'm really more hurt. And I do understand God works strategically, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, y'all, they wanted me to be quiet the whole time. Like, when she first took on the case, I had to make her a promise, no media. Because the DA that we had on the case at first, he was just looking at an angle like, oh, he did it. He committed this crime. So I basically kept turning up fire on him. Like, I wasn't stopping. I did rallies in front of the DA office. Like, I wasn't stopping, like, because I was on to something. And I knew that I was on to something, and I didn't want to let it go. And once we got him off the case, I feel like that was a relief for me. But I still kept going But in my mind, I'm like, I have a whole platform. I got so many people behind us. I can't put my fire out. And
Yeah.
when she was telling me, like, I need you, no media, I don't need you to post nothing. And I was just like, I was upset. I told my husband, I said, look, well, we came too far. Like, I cannot let up off of this. I have to keep pushing your name out there. I got to keep firing it up to let them know I'm not playing with y'all. Somebody is going to hear his story. And I need y'all to understand this man is innocent. Y'all had this man in jail for 31 years. And I want y'all to feel my rap how I feel. I want y'all to feel how he feel. He never got a chance to let y'all know I never committed this crime. So she was just like putting a little pressure on me, like, you got to make me a promise. So I made her a promise, like, no media, no nothing. So behind the scenes, all the supporters is like, what's going on? Like, you're not posting nothing, you're not saying that, but they not knowing behind. I had some stuff going on, but I just couldn't let the fire up and let them know, like, we good right now. I couldn't even really communicate with them. It was like, I was just like, but when she had a talk with me, I was real angry with her. I said, if we don't take this deal, how long my husband will have to still sit in jail. And she was like, well, he will have to sit like 8 to 10 years and he'll go back to the original DA. So by then, I like blew up on her. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he's innocent. So I had to look at a perspective. I'm like, you know what? I fought a hell of a fight. Excuse me, y'all, but I kept going. I kept putting the gas to the pedal. Like, nah, I'm fighting all the way. But I was real relieved. Even in the courtroom when I seen him, I was just like, oh my God, my husband really back in court. Because me in my mind, I was going on the inmate locator, and on there under his name it says this inmate will have life without parole and is never up for parole. I kept looking at that thing. And then one day my husband's like, stop looking at that thing. Like, we ain't paying that thing no attention. We trust God. I am going to come home one day.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say, like, when I actually got a chance to hug him when he came out, I was just like overwhelmed and real emotional, like just emotional. I'm upset right now. Like, I'm really am. And I'm still like lighting the fire on them, let them know, like, the gloves is off. Y'all did my husband wrong. I'm talking. He don't have to talk.
Yeah. Well, I definitely feel your energy. My heart goes out to you because it's nothing like, and there's so many cases like this, right? In a perfect world, everyone is exonerated since, times not time served for a crime you didn't commit, but here we want to right our wrong. Let me give you some money to move forward in your life. Not like, oh, I'm just gonna give you time served, and then you still got to get out here and figure out how you're gonna make it work with this big sentence on your back, right? And so, how old were you when you went into prison, Mr. Godfrey?
I was 18 when I was kidnapped, and I was 19 when I went into prison. So between the time of arrest and the time of imprisonment, it was like 17 months between that. I was 19 when I actually went to San Quentin.
Yeah, that's wrong. Our hearts go out to everyone who's wrongfully incarcerated, who have family members. We definitely, we constantly keeping our family here, Ricardo Marsden, and then we have people that we fight for in South Carolina as well. Carmen's her case has been just Carmen Rice, excuse me, let me say her full name. She has served over, about 20 years incarcerated in South Carolina, and she has a Brady violation right on the front page of her discovery. And it has been reviewed by the Attorney General's office, and they're the one that's called it out. Well, we'll just let the girl out of prison. And so people don't understand when people have like lawyers that are not doing their jobs, when they're making deals with other people that are a part of this process, how it impacts the lives of all of those people that are connected to that person that's been kidnapped by the system. And so, just to kind of hear a person of wrongful conviction who's released, but they didn't necessarily give you your badge of freedom. You know, definitely, I know your wife ain't gonna stop because she got a look in her eyes like, honey, listen, you're not gonna just smack us with this. We're gonna get what we came in here to get. But, and then a lot of times when they say no media, no attention, it's because of the retaliation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I absolutely have people who fear the retaliation, not only for their loved one that's incarcerated, but sometimes things just happen, you know, especially with us on this end dealing with the dirty South, right? So things can get very dirty. Some of um, the statements that were received for Carmen Rice's story was from someone who was sitting in a prison in Florida. How does that happen? Right? If people are not commiserating together, right? And so you basically have to find yourself in a place of peace now because y'all together. You know, take some time, enjoy one another, learn how to use all these swipes and taps and stuff with your car. Because, honey, you can be looking crazy as I don't know what. Because sometimes I've been here, right? And I'm still like, do I press this button or do I press that button?
Well,
So,
the second day he was out, I was like, honey, I want you to go in the store and I'm gonna give you the debit card. I say, you remember what I just did? He's like, yeah, I got it. So he went in the store the second day. He went in the store, got the groceries, and came back out. But before he got out the car, I was like, "You sure you don't want me to go?" He was like, "No, I got this." So I trusted him to go in the store. So now he know he go to the gas station, swipe the card, pump the gas, like he
yeah.
own it. Because a lot of people is asking me, so
Uh-oh.
And she's stuck.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
can y'all hear us?
Yeah.
We can hear you now.
Okay, so
A lot of
I have
people were asking you.
inbox message. So many people want to do interviews and all that, but I'm being real cautious of who I'm talking to. You know, I don't have a problem with it, but it's like I want to give my husband his space.
Yeah.
There's just so much in his face, and I'm constantly like, talk to this person. He like, no, just calm down, I'm gonna talk to certain people, just wait. But
And my reason, excuse me, I mean to cut you off. My reason for that is because, you know, I don't need nobody just, you know, trying to claim fame off of what, you know, my situation, right? So if you tell my story, you're going to tell it in an authentic fashion, and you're going to be supportive of that. You know what I mean? And that's the type of people that I want to associate with. I don't just meet with everybody. So, you know, that's why I'm very, very careful with that as well.
And you have to be, because people will definitely try to come and suck life. I had somebody ask me earlier how many likes we get. I said, baby, this ain't about the likes. It's about the
likes. We got substance here.
We have a lot of people who are incarcerated all across this country that we others, Jamila Land, you know, people who are we connected to in Texas, New York, Iowa, Florida, South Carolina, Mississippi, who are out here that look like me and you, doing this work for people who are unheard of, you know, nobody cares about, trying to make a difference in this place where people are constantly trying to be the Beyonce of criminal justice reform. And I ain't gonna say no names today, but so when I say, you know, when people like, well, how many likes do you get? Girl, I don't give a damn about nobody's likes. You ain't gotta like nothing I say or do. But what I am gonna do is continue to put my voice in a position to allow people who have been taken advantage of by the system, like Mr. and Mrs. Godfrey. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I thank y'all for really being here with us, because
thank you for having us.
Yeah, definitely. You know, with grassroots and anything we can try to do. You know, I never really do this, but if you want, we can put y'all Cash App out here. And if somebody feels the need to go ahead and bless y'all, that's you know, everything.
Absolutely.
Everything is for the taking. Let me figure out how to do this real quick. I'm a little slow.
So while she's doing that, I'll share my tale about how I found out your husband came from prison.
Oh, okay.
Because I was just scrolling on my phone, and then I got a notification in my Gmail, and it said Godfrey, and I'm like, that sounds familiar. And then I saw your email in the SE the email for the Essie sisters. I was like, wait a minute, she's a Essie sister? And I was like, wait a minute, her husband's out of jail? What? And I hit you up immediately because I got excited. I was like, everything just changed. I was ready. I had so much energy, like as if my husband was the one that came home.
Listen,
a lot of people have. Even my cousin Jamila Land is actually my cousin.
oh, okay.
And so she was posting, filming us as we coming out, running down.
Yeah.
Out,
And
Porsche Taylor,
if anybody hasn't seen any of the footage that she posted, please go on her Instagram and just look through every single moment from the time they surprised was it your mom?
His sister and his
Yeah,
mom.
my mom, my sister, and my two sisters.
Yes. Yeah. And your daughter, right?
No, it's his,
and my auntie.
His auntie Sophia Jackson.
Yeah. So let me do this real quick. Let me get your Cash App, and then let me also get your Instagram. Do you have that?
My Instagram is Lady Godfrey.
Lady Godfrey.
And my Cash App is money sign niche.
Hold on one second.
NISH or NISH?
NISH.
NISH.
Girl. It's the
McKinney, I really appreciate you reaching out to me. That means everything to me.
Welcome.
There was a lot of people reaching out to me. Both of
okay.
you.
What's the Cash App again? I'm sorry.
Money sign niche. NISH.
Okay, got you. Thank you.
3838.
That's no problem at all. I've been following you for years, and I've just been like, I can't wait to see this moment happen. I need to see it for myself, because was in the same situation. And to be quite honest, sometimes you go through periods of losing your faith. Like you have this relationship with God and you're like, when I'm following the path you led me on, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do as a righteous woman and a wife to your son here. And I needed to see something else that was connected to me. I have another friend whose husband just came home too about a month ago or so. And I've been following their case for years as well. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I see it. I see God pulling them out. And then when I saw you, and I was like, wow, I had to see that for myself.
Yes.
There's a lot I can say, but I'll just keep it to the minimum.
No, you good. I really appreciate y'all. Hopefully you got some cash from Lulu Cameron and everyone with South Carolina for Restorative Justice. Just a little something to thank you for coming today. And I never, ever do that. So, we just grassroots. We just trying to get it how we live too. But I understand there's a different need that you have coming home because yes, you're preparing for it every day, but you can't really prepare for something that's unknown and unpromised. And so I'm just grateful that y'all took time with us today. Yeah. And I hope that we can continue to see you do well and be a part of any success or, any help that you may need along the way. I know you already have a large platform of people that are supporting you, but just know that we all the way on the other side of the country and we support you as well. And we want to see you and your family thrive just because it's time, right? It's y'all time. So that's all I got today. It's a blessing to see Mr. and Mrs. Godfrey. Right? At the same damn time.
Thanks for having us. And this is just the beginning of many to come.
Yes.
Yes, and if there's anything that we can do to assist you guys, let us know. We here.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. We appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight.
So I'll just go ahead and wrap us up today because there's no better way than to just end in imperfect harmony. If y'all can hang tight with me for a second, I'll just end the live. Thank you all for joining us today. We know we had a couple of technical difficulties, but you know, this is life, and this is a real opportunity to see what second chances look like. We're here again, not next week, but the next Monday after, and we will hope to continue to enlighten the community and legislators and those people who need to understand that there are people inside of prisons that deserve an opportunity at a second chance, in addition to the United States of America needing to right the wrongs of its criminal justice system, because it's the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank y'all for joining us today. You have a great night.